My name is Deb Seidel, and I am a freelancing musician who lives in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm also an educator, have been for a very long time, from classes in pre-K all the way through teaching college courses, and also teaching applied lessons and conducting small and large ensembles. So I'm a seasoned musician and a seasoned educator. And at this point in my life, I wanted to share some of the wisdom that I've garnered over many, many hours of experiences, and particularly as a woman, and particularly leading groups and being an independent musician and carving a career out of that. And I'm hoping to be able to create a forum and a platform here where we can share ideas. I can be a resource to people if that's helpful, that it would be reciprocity of perhaps, people have questions and then I can help or give resources and pass on. And also, I'm going to learn by doing it. Absolutely. Yes, in being a musician and turning to that as a profession, it's a very long story, but it wasn't something that my parents wanted for me or really ever supported. It was something that drew me, that it's a place where I feel authentic and grounded, and it's where life makes sense for me. It's how I make meaning. So it was quite a journey from physical therapy through many, many types of majors before I decided to come back to music. I played many years and taught in my home without a degree in music for a very long time. And then I decided that I wanted more formal training and wanted to see if I love to learn, so I wanted to get back in there and see. But for a very long time, I had a degree in religious studies. And I made a living as a musician, so it can be done. Blending that base in humanities, religious studies, and the spiritual side of it with feminism, for being a woman that I had experiences that were difficult, and looking at how what I did, the response from people, that I knew it was a healing modality. And so over the years, it sort of just, through experience, it became more apparent that that was a path of blending. And I found, after undergraduate and graduate degrees, I found a doctoral level program that was interdisciplinary. That was the space for me to be able to pull this all together. I would like to collaborate with people, and that could mean many things. I think it's a platform that would take me outside of Richmond to meet people and interact with people that could be live around the world, some far, far away, and create a forum of shared experiences, maybe share resources, right? And I could be a resource if people. We could also collaborate in finding projects that we might want to do together. I really enjoy mentoring, so if people have questions and want to reach out through my website, I can answer that either directly to them and or choose a topic and share that and see if that doesn't gain momentum, and through a community of people who are interested. Another aspect that I want to talk about right now is why I'm bringing this to the internet, is that I spent a great deal of time meticulously researching and pulling together a narrative about women in music that and their place in it, and maybe a different way to think about the heritage that I think is really important. And I would like to get that message out in the world, because every time I have shared it, it has been impactful, and students I had 10 years ago are still thinking about it. And it's helped me, and I think it can help others and ground them. So that will be part of why I'm doing the vlog, and I will take certain sections of that and talk about it at different times. I believe that music or sound, and music is a part of that, it's a cultural term for that, does convey and contain and transmit the sound waves, but within that there's cultural knowledge, there's probably spiritual knowledge, there's probably things that we can't even wrap our head around, you know, that is being expressed and sent. It's on a vibrational level, and therefore your intent is really important. And the less fear you have in performing, the better it is. If you realize it's from a loving place and the intent is loving, that's very powerful. And that you're not attached to the outcome, you just play. So I think music, the sound, is a form of spiritual knowledge. When I say I would hope people can get beyond the technical aspects of performance, that, you know, being competent, that is valued very highly in academia. All of the parts of, for Western music, particularly of intonation, of the right notes, the right place, all of this, in a manner that adheres to someone's idea of what a standard is and how they think music was played, even though they don't have any recordings of that music. There's just all these arbitrary markers. And it's very competitive. And, you know, technique is wonderful, but it doesn't mean if it doesn't have feeling and intent, and there's a lot of ego with it, people will listen to it, but it's not as powerful. So it needs to come from the heart. And I think people come to music because they love it, and a lot of the training sometimes isn't loving. So much of it is, but a lot of it isn't. And I think being focused on your technique leads to thinking about making mistakes. And it's sort of like your honing device for potholes. If you're afraid to, you know, hit a hole in the road. So is to rise above that, and, you know, mistakes, to reframe them. It was an effort, and then there's something else. And depending on what genre you are playing and in what situation, but there's lots of ways to make music and make meaning from that and contribute to the world and to communities and to with yourself and with others. That is more expansive, and it's going to give you a more, I believe, a more authentic sense of self and what being a musician is. That is definitely going to sustain someone for a lifetime. And music for me has been a passion that I came to later in life, you know, as I said, 26, 27 years old, after losing my father, after losing very close friends at that age. And I played, and I went off in the woods, and I just improvised, and it was a way of solace, and I realized that it had been in other times in my life, and that it was one thing to lose my father at old age where he was, but it was another thing to lose a friend who was in their 20s. So I'm like, well, we're not here forever, so what do I really connect with? What do I feel right doing? And it was holding that flute, you know, just having it and blowing it. It's like, well, this feels like me, versus trying the other things and it still challenges me to this day, intellectually and emotionally and spiritually and physically. So there's lots of challenges making a living as a musician in our society. It's, you know, we have recordings, people can just use that instead. There's competition, yes, for it, of being valued, the insecurity of it. And I was a parent, right? So a single parent. So you take a lot of gigs, you take every student, you do whatever you can do. And, you know, some of it's not glamorous, you know, some of it's just not. And, you know, sometimes you'll get paid very well for playing the simplest things, you know, or doing something else, right? So it's been a journey, but it's, you know, certainly kept monotony at bay. So at this point, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this. I want to thank Walter Morton, who is recording this for me so graciously and has been prompting me with questions as I get comfortable in this format. And my contact information should be at the bottom of the screen, my website, and there's a contact page. There's also a calendar. It's interactive. You can find places where I'm playing publicly if you are so interested. And there is a chapter from a publication that does describe my work. That's a clear synopsis of what I have been trying to formulate over so many years. So it's I think a good introduction to getting a better idea about what my scholarship is coming from. So thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I will be back with perhaps another session with Walter, and we'll take it from there and see where it goes. I'm going to follow that flute.